You know, that's something I never understood.
Hmm.
Like, I'm starting to understand the parallel universes things, but for me, I was like, why the fuck would there be another Joe somewhere? Why? I don't get it. Like, why? What's the point? But then, as time has gone on, I've learned that there's like a supreme being or like a supreme knowledge herder who wants to know everything, know all, so it releases everything, and then it's a part of all those things, i.e. God, and then gaining experiences from everything.
Do you think that this supreme thing is like one component of an even bigger supreme thing?
It does beg the question. Yeah. Because it really,
no matter what, you
me,
always hit a wall, and then you're like no, on the other side of that wall.
There's a bigger thing yet.
Yeah. But that's what that's where I kind of fall into that belief structure.
Okay, so back to Dane Cook and Adam Sandler.
No, that's an interesting conversation.
We should really bring that up in Paranormal Blabber.
It's just it's one of those things where it's whatever you think it is.
Yeah,
I mean, really.
Yeah.
And so you can tell yourself
it's whatever
story you want to tell
comforts you
yourself.
the most.
Yep.
Or it enlivens you, whatever that is.
Or for me, don't believe in it.
Sure.
It's one of those things where it doesn't do me any good. So that's my thoughts.
And then you're like, but to kill people over it or to pass legislation.
Correct.
And then, but the flip side of that is like, yeah, because those people believe that so much. Like they're not up there. I mean, sometimes I think there is a level of manipulation that's you're using it as a cattle herder would use a prod.
Sure.
But
sure. Yeah. So I went to the seminary. So obviously I'm Catholic, but it's not like.
Do you have to be Catholic to go to a seminary?
Yeah, it's a Catholic thing.
What if you lie?
Well, yeah, you could lie. I mean, but it
didn't know if
teach
they
you all
do
about
like
it, and you go to mass 3 times a week.
I don't know if it's like a sect
all this other stuff.
or
So
something.
there's no
and
other way you
they
can
trace
do that.
bloodlines back and stuff. I don't know.
No,
It's just because we went to Catholic school and I had 2 kids in my class that weren't Catholic.
I also had a. Well, they were
but
Roman Catholic. They were Lutheran. My friend
they
was
were
Methodist.
Methodist.
Okay.
Methodist is still Christian.
And then
right?
I honestly don't know what the other one was. He may have been agnostic.
And
at that age, it's basically whatever you're told.
At
to
15, 16, 17, yeah, you're just starting to have your own ideas about what religion is. So
Right.
I think that they were more of we were all figuring it out what we really were.
Right.
And I think that's where I don't know, the problem with that is that the more you educate people, the more you make them question things, the more their faith does not allow them to believe certain things. And that's where I'm like, the whole thing about religion is keeping dumb people in the spot where they're at and just letting them suffer, but keep telling them they're okay.
A lot of smart... See, and that's where I get really hung up. For me, it's all about semantics. It's like, I have a really tough time with the word God.
Okay.
Like I do, just personally.
Yeah.
Because, like, I know that in my, like, spiritual questing and whatever, like, I have arrived at certain images or, that are, like, kind of gateways into an entire, like, it's more of a feeling rather than something that could be pinned down in words, because it's not, if you're talking about a supreme being, like that's already cutting it off. Like we're all part of it. The room's part of it. The dirt underneath us is part of it.
Yep.
Pluto, even if it's not a planet, is part of it. And like, so that to me is like, how could you ever, like, it's almost more disrespectful to pin it with a name.
To name it, yeah.
Because then at that point, it then becomes...
You're defining it.
You're defining it, and then every image that is created from then on, like, it becomes that thing. I was just reading... Have you ever read Heidegger? Martin Heidegger. No. He's like a German philosopher. But he talks about how the church, like, or the temple, like, yes, it is a work, it's a structure in itself, but to those who believe and have faith, that is God. That is the higher power. That it's not just a relic. It actually is. It's the presence of that thing while at the same time being part of this phenomenal world.
Okay.
And that to me, like, totally blew my mind. I was like, wow, that's as much of like a sort of crisis of faith I maybe feel myself going through.
Sure.
That to me was like, yeah, I guess there is a reason why you keep your voice down in church, or why because you're in the presence of God, even if you can't say like, well, I really agree with that anymore.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that. I think there's a lot of history involved with all that stuff, and like there's a reason certain things are certain ways. Like, I mean, like, you know, you kneel for everything and you're so submissive to everything, and it's just like, I don't know if that, I just don't believe that's not what I want to be a part of being. It makes you feel small, and I want, like, I'm more the person that I don't really pray. I just have a conversation with myself, and I know God's there with me, or something's there with me. I do believe that something is there, and when I'm talking to myself, they're the one whispering in my ear subconsciously saying this, that, or the other thing, and they're helping me through something. Because those are the times when I really need something. That's what I believe, that somebody's there, because I admit that it is comforting when you're in a shit spot. You need somebody, and I'm not going to anybody else, but at least I'm having that, you know, just getting it out of my system kind of thing. And that's why I don't believe in necessarily the church itself, the building, because that defines my faith of I'm a good Christian or whatever, because I go to the building and I'm putting my hour a weekend.
Of course.
Which is bullshit to me, because I'm putting in all this other time either volunteering or helping people or doing this other stuff, because there are terrible people out there who say they go to church and they're like, oh, I'm good. You know, I put my hour in, I'm good. You know, and I'm just like, that's not how I want to be, you know?
Before you were talking about gifts and like, what about the gift of time? And if you really think about it, like what you split your week up into, like time is worship, really. Like, so we can all say like we have these jobs and we go to work because we need to make money to go and pay rent. But like, I don't know, if we all had stronger constitutions, like individually, I think we'd all be like, no, I am my own person, and I'm going to go cut down my own logs, and I'm going to make my own sausage, whatever it is, you know?
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know.
No,
I got lost. Yeah, but like, for me, it's like when you say like, I think it's a thing to keep dumb people in place. Yeah. I think there are a lot of smart people that still use those words, because I don't personally know what their images are or how deep they've actually thought about it. And maybe they have. And again, it's like, that's what comforts them at night, is to believe that there is a bearded man up in the clouds. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't know if that's what a relative of mine actually thinks. Maybe they do think it's this grand mystery, and for them it's comforting to use that word. But then I just have a problem when then you start like using that against people. When you start using it as,
or making people believe the same thing you believe.
When it's
I had the exact thought the other day about, I watched Spotlight. Have you seen
I haven't yet.
If you really need to watch that. Yeah. I didn't think it was that good, but when I watched it, it was like, every Catholic should watch this movie, because it just throws a really bad shade on how bad it really was. I mean, granted, it's a movie, so it's going to make it really...
But a lot of that stuff is like...
But it's based on real stuff.
All those actors worked with each of those reporters.
Sure. And so, it just... I have a hard time believing or being part of... This is how I think of it. Like, God's so great, and the church is a representative of God, or at least some sort of thing. Then if that product in that church is so corrupt and so nasty, why would I ever be a part of that if towards God, I guess? So how I was thinking about it is that if I'm a maker of some sort of food product, and why would I want my product to go out and hurt people? So it's kind of like God. Why would he want his church to go and hurt people? You know, and so why wouldn't, if he's all powerful, all knowing, this infinite whatever whatever he is, why would he allow that to happen? And that's my question of like, I can't think that God would really allow that to happen, especially with his name attached to it. So then it becomes the idea of the church being not God, but the devil, and that Jesus being the devil, knowing that I'm going to put this idea out there. Follow with me. Jesus being the devil.
It's a laugh of like recognition.
Or like the last temptation of Christ, where the devil's out there, he's really Jesus, and he says, look, if I get enough people to believe in me and then create that passion so deeply, they will go out there and do bad things. Yeah. And then create a bunch of rifts in the thing, like Calvin and Lutheran, and put all these bad things, and people believe in me so much that it creates bad. And there'd be a little bit of sprinkle of good in there, but ultimately the whole thing is bad. And now I've got people who think they're immune to everything, and they're abusing kids, and they're doing all this bad thing, and the crusades and all this Inquisition and all this other stuff. And it's just like, if I'm God, I'm like, dude, that is not what I want, you know. And you would think they would go down and be like, look, something, you know, get one pope in there who's gonna wipe it all clean or whatever. And maybe that's what he's doing now. But the whole idea of the church just crumbles. I can't physically just go there and be like, I support you. Like my mom's gonna go to church on Christmas Eve, and I'm just like, for me to go in there and just support that, it's hard for me. I know that's really passionate. I'm sorry. That got off on a tangent.
But so. I completely agree.
First time I've ever really said that out loud, I think, too. So.
And I think, like, what I've been trying to do, because Kate and I are both we're just, like, trying to figure out, because once you bring kids into the whole thing, like, you got to give them some story, which is really what it is when you get down to it.
I believe in religion to help me teach them good and evil.
Give somewhat of a structure. Yeah. Morality-wise.
Agreed.
But, like, I've read a ton of Joseph Campbell. I don't know if you're familiar.
It's Joe Campbell.
Joe Campbell. But he's the one that, like, George Lucas read a ton of, like, he read Hero with 1,000 Faces, and that's kind of where he got the structure of Star Wars.
That's, I think, where I'm getting it from.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what he does is he takes, like, all the myths and all the religions of the world and distills it down, and he's like, it's one story, everybody.
Oh, sure.
It's the same story.
It's
like,
the
it's
one.
Just the localities are just different, and
that's where you're getting the Father and the Son from.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That it's all looping back around now.
Right. And so, in, like, reading all of that, like, that's, again, like, where I'm talking about, like, the symbols and all of that, where he's talking about how, like, the story of the Garden of Eden is actually, it's a reappropriation of, like, an old Buddha, like, myth. Like, that Buddha is actually sitting at the foot of this tree, the tree of knowledge, which in, the Christian faith is actually about temptation.
Yep.
But, so God banishes Adam and Eve because of this whole thing, because they ate from the tree, which gave them knowledge. So they're banished from the garden.
Yeah.
And puts two angels outside, and so in the original, like, Buddhist telling of this story, those two angels are fear and desire. So that is something that we all have as human beings, is that we fear our death and we desire basically to consume, you know. But if you entered through those things, if you passed through your fear and desire, you forego those, and you enter into this garden, this bliss, this nirvana, there's the tree of knowledge, and there's Buddha sitting under it. So it was, again, this, like, taking this story, which should be a comfort, which should be saying, divorce yourself from your own fear and your own desires.
That's really cool.
For this temporal world, which is just fleeting and all of that cliche. Yeah. But if you do that, you get to enter into that garden. That's there for
spiritual enlightenment,
always
basically.
here. That's always here. So when you instead say, no, this is a historical figure who had a birthday and who then died, and he did all these things, and those things were real. So when you start saying that that's a symbol, like, that's really scaring me, and that's telling me that, like, God doesn't exist.
Sure.
And I, again, like, don't know if that's the thought process that's going on. That's the one that I project onto them, because that's the one that I had 8 years ago or whatever it was, when I just wasn't opening up my own consciousness. So, like, that has allowed me, like, so to go, we did a Catholic Mass for our wedding.
Me too. Yeah.
But, like, it was the most amazing Mass I ever took part in, because every time that any one of those symbols was invoked, I had my own, like, I know what that means to me personally now, which I feel like maybe that's a criticism of the way that, like, the Catholic Church is built, that, or what, I don't know what it is, but that the individuality of it is, it's drummed out of you pretty quickly, that, like, or it's just never encouraged to a point where, I don't know, as a 2000 as a millennial, that I feel like, well, that's not cool.
Well, the church is essentially built on symbolism because people couldn't read and they had to, visually do everything. And so it was like, I see a cross, I know what that means to me, because you couldn't really read about it.
Right.
And you had to go to church and hear about it because you couldn't read about it. Right. So, that's why I do think the church is cool, like Catholics with like the Virgin Mary. Like, I think that story is really cool about how, somebody was put in a shit spot and yet they dealt with it and they did the right thing. And like, I like that aspect of it. But yeah, no, it's very cool that, I had a Catholic wedding too, but, didn't mean anything to me. I was scared shitless. I was sweating my balls off. And both my kids have been baptized. It's definitely a brainwash of like your family. Okay, this is what you do, and I'm okay with that.
Thing too, is
I'm okay with that.
The family pressures and like the entire, idea of Catholic guilt is a very real thing.
And I'm okay with it. I believe in my heart of hearts that everything's meant for good and that eventually it'll all work out. But it's tough when you get to a certain point and you start to realize things are different than what you were when you were a kid.
Yeah. And then like, what are you gonna open your kid up to?
Sure.
What do you?
And it's a huge responsibility.
You as an adult have these ideas and these opinions, and you're like, I don't really agree with it. And that's where I know. That's where I feel like Kate and I are. Is that like I personally don't know if I feel comfortable telling this story that I don't fully believe necessarily anymore in a real way, because like if it was encouraged as like, no guys, it's a symbol for what you should be doing every day for yourself, to like open yourself up to that selflessness and everything that Jesus Christ the symbol is.
As the 4-year-old kid you're telling that to, it's just,
it doesn't work. It's
and
all
that's the
abstract,
thing is that, yeah. All right, I feel bad. We're really cutting Joe. I really want to know what Joe wants to know. No, because
I got nothing.
You're just.
No, I'm soaking it all in. I personally,
you've got something to say, so let's hear it. So, that's the whole point, right?
No, I went through my own spiritual battles, and I have my own beliefs, and I feel extremely confident, not only in those beliefs, but who I am as a person at this point in my life. Believe me, everything that you guys are talking about, I struggled through.
Sure.
So I think we all do that, especially nowadays.
And so you came out being, I'm all about the Catholic Church. Are you more?
I'm completely against the Catholic Church.
You are
completely against it. As a matter of fact, what you said made really a lot of sense, and it makes me giggle.
It's again, it's one of those. No,
believe me. Jesus was a crazy man who walked around and did, I think, hopefully good things.
Well, yeah.
No, okay.
Have you ever heard the translation thing with this is what freaked me out when I heard this. This is what ruined it for me. Do you realize that there was a translation error? Instead of walking on the water, it's walking by the water.
Mandela effect.
So no, but it's based on translation, because when they originally wrote it in ancient whatever, then they translate it for the vast other people that were reading it in Roman or whatever it was. There was a translation error, and it was, that's the theory, is that he really never walked on the water. He just walked by the water. And imagine one word like that, to your point, the Mandela effect, changes the meaning of everything.
Right. And I think that's the whole point here. Is just that I personally think that the Bible needs to be in the fiction section of the library.
100% agree.
Regardless, it doesn't matter what you guys think, because I'm fine with what I'm thinking. So it's like, I'm not even going to try and, convince anybody of what I think.
No, and we're not, that's not what I don't think. That's not what I'm trying to do.
And so it's just one of those things where I don't even have theology on it anymore. I just have what I know works for me. And I know that, where I've been in my life, I cannot run the show. I've fucked things up to the point of, like, I need fixing.
Yeah.
So I believe in a higher power. And whatever that is, I'm still trying to pin down, but I believe there's something else out there. And that's what works for Joe. And all the semantics that goes along with that, I push aside. That's like with a child, I'm so frustrated, and I wish I was like Obi-Wan Kenobi, because I was like,
I wish you were too.
I know. But it's like, I want to teach you all the things that I know, but you will not sit there and listen to me, so it's like, I need you to live through it. So welcome to life, For those of you not seeing this, I'm making a gesture like welcome to the door, and that's where I'm like, I'll be here to help you through those things because it worked for me. But also, you will find your own path, you will find your own way, and that's why it's really interesting with like the Christmas spirit, because we're gonna loop it all back around.
Yeah,
and
that's where we started, and I think that it definitely does come back to that,
because here we are, especially in the 21st century. I mean, we talk about buying gifts and all these things, but really, I mean, we all, for some odd reason, come together during Christmas, you know, and I know it was because of doctrine that was taught to us or, you know, pagan beliefs. But at the end of the day, too, there is something within all of us that binds us together, and yet we can all, you know, be jovial for 5 seconds, you know. Yep. So I don't. It's interesting, and it's really. I mean, it's always cool. I love, you know, listening to Jake talk. We will get into really deep conversation. We have in the past, and I know we will in the future. I want to get a more so on Paranormal Palaver, because these conversations will go deep. But this is, you know.
Well, if you think this is good, you should listen to the religious podcast we kind of
What Dreams May Come. You may have already listened to
that one.
Yeah. That was, I think, my favorite, just because I was so much more involved in some of the ghost stuff that I don't necessarily believe in. The Catholic thing really rings a bell for me. Mm-hmm. So you know,
definitely.
2 things, unless you have something. Okay.
No, I'm good.
With raising kids, like I definitely thought about it, and my whole thing is just keeping them so that they can have an open mind towards stuff. So that teaching them now, my kids go to my daughter goes to school at more of an arts kind of preschool, so that they're opened up to more things than I ever was at that age. Mm-hmm. And so the idea of this is what we kind of, you know, teaching them. Okay, this is kind of what we talk about. This is kind of what we believe in, but yet, you know, you're free to, you know, kind of have your own ideas as long as it kind of doesn't make you a terrible person. Mm-hmm. Because when they do get older, I don't want them to be stuck in a box of like, okay, this is what I was taught and this is where I'm going to go. Yeah. I want them to kind of have her and his own, you know, idea. So that was mine. And then the second thing I wanted to say regarding the Christmas, looping it back in, would be I do think it's really neat that no matter what we all believe, the Christmas thing still rings a bell for all of us, no matter what it is. And now it might be a religious thing. It might be a family thing. It might be, for me, the magical of presents or whatever it is. But you're right. It all does bring us together. And there is something special. And I know it is commercialized because we get inundated with Christmas. But yet it is really neat and really cool that it does still have this really profound positive effect on a lot of people. Now, there's a lot of people who have really hard times with it, you know, who financial troubles, you know, and hopefully they're Scrooge McDucking it and they're still being happy even though they may not have a lot. And the people who are Scrooge McDuck then to be able to find something in their heart where they can contribute or whatever. So,
see, and those people too, I think that, you know, that happens all year round. You know, there's Scrooges all year round.
Correct.
You know, and maybe that's the whole point of the story, you know, is like all of a sudden at Christmas time, something breaks that frozen heart open, you know, and that's, again, what you were saying, you know, where it is something that's being, you know, the bell being rung in all of us during that time of year. So
I think that's why I want to make my kids' Christmas as special as I can, just because no matter what, we all sat here and talked about our childhood Christmases, and none of us had a bad story to tell.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, nobody was like, hey, this happened or this happened. And thankfully, I mean, I'm going to talk for myself, not you guys, but I was born, you know, my Christmases were magical and we were fortunate, you know, and I'm really thankful that I've never had to go through that. But, you know, the idea of having such a positive thing and being able to carry that all through my adult life is just really neat. And to create and instill that with my kids is just something that I cherish and want to do for them so that they have that Christmas spirit when they're older.
And that's awesome. You know, I wish more people would want to do that. Well,
but that, I guess that's my justification for the presents thing. Like,
sure.
That for me was my fun Christmas thing. And, you know, I want my kids, I guess, the same way. And so you guys have your own thing. And, and yet you still, still have the magical idea that that I do.
Yeah.
I feel like Christmas is just sort of like if you boiled down, I don't know, like what's good about tradition and what's good about, like, It's a Wonderful Life. I don't know, like, it's like that movie which I don't think,
Jeff, have you seen that
So
movie?
my dad has recorded it on his TV. We are going to watch it on Christmas.
But it's like, so I don't know. I'm
not
not able to articulate the feeling I have, but it's like what you were saying, like we all have stories and they're all good. And I'm sure that there are some people that maybe don't have such good stories, but like there is something about this like little pocket of time at the end of the year where it's like a review, but it's also looking ahead, and like the song "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas," like that song, like through the years we all will be together, or
If
in
the
a
fates
year,
allow.
we all
Introspective,
will be
very
together.
much.
Like, and I know that's just like my avenue in is like the sad, depressing side of it, of like, oh yeah, no, this isn't forever. That's like my jumping off point of like any subject. I don't know why. I just thought of this like last week. I have separation anxiety with the present moment. That's like
That's a good
that's
way
the
to
way
say
I
it.
feel.
Really
Like
clever.
just about life, like that happened I think after college. I graduated and like not being on that schedule anymore. It was all of a sudden like, oh, I have to like, but that means so that's all done, and that means, but what's the next milestone? Just freaked out.
Wait till you have
And-
kids and it all
No, of
changes.
course, like,
Yeah.
and that's the point. Is that like change is the point
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
So then, if you have this thing that doesn't change, because it's that like I don't know, Christmas is childhood. There's
Mhm.
no way that it's not, unless
Yeah.
That's a
you're
good
an
point.
orphan or something. Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
things you really try to protect are the things that feel the worst. To like, no, we're not going to get together this year. Like, think about why that feels that way.
Yeah.
It's because you're putting a part of yourself back into that closet that you're never going to go in again.
Yeah. Well, I kind of made that comment last time. Is that I realize there's only so many Christmases that I have, and I don't, I have so many years before I die. Okay, there's a lot of times to do all that stuff, but at the same time, there's only so many Christmases I get with my parents, and there's only so many Christmases I get, and it's such a magical time that there is something special about it, and trying to take that and really live in the moment, even if it is only for me. I have 4 days and I'm done.
Yeah.
That's all I really want. But I should really appreciate those 4 days and really, we're trying to jam pack them with friends and family and spending time with the people that you love, because, like you said, it ends. As sad as that is, it ends.
Yeah.
And I think Krista made the comment at
Do
the
our
paranormal.
best to distract ourselves from.
Yeah,
it,
she made the comment that once her grandparents died, it changed. It just Christmas wasn't the same for her now.
Sure.
And now I'm not desperately, but I'm lucky enough to where my parents are still around, and that my sister now has a kid, and now we're creating our own grandparent style Christmas, so that I can gradually transition and never miss out on the family grandparent. For me, that's that 3-generation kind of thing. And,
Yeah, definitely.
So I just think I'm lucky in that, and maybe it's lucky because I'm just it's my mindset, or if it just worked out for me, and I'm good that way. But my wife and I have talked about having more kids, because we like the idea of like your family. You had 4 kids, and it creates that bigger family in that whole. But at the same time, you have 2, and you're like, no, I'm not doing this again. You're crazy people. My mom came up with 11 brothers and sisters, so it's like, my dad had there was 8 of them. So it's just one of those things where. It's cool to have the big family thing, but now it's just not possible anymore. Yeah, you don't need them to plow the fields anymore.
No, it's the exact opposite of what
you
it
can't
was.
afford it
yeah,
anymore.
Like,
yeah,
whereas before it was cheap labor.
you needed it for the
Yeah,
money. Yeah,
yeah.
it's the opposite. Yeah, like you said,
So I don't know what. Yeah, it's all
relative.
It's like
like
ephemeral
time.
though too, like ethereal. Like for me, we have this VHS tape that
Okay.
my parents recorded different Christmas specials, like between the
Oh,
year like
sure.
1988 and 1990,
Okay.
and like all the commercials are in there,
Oh.
and like so it
We
has
watch it more so for the commercials than we
like
do.
now. That's
yeah.
what we do,
Because you can watch. it on
and they're
Netflix or
amazing
whatever.
commercial. Like
The
what
best.
a great time
Yes.
for advertisement.
'Cause you could do
Um,
do anything. For
Oh my god! And like, but that to me, like, I got that transferred onto a DVD, and I've had that.
oh, that's
now
cool.
Since like I brought that DVD to college, and I like showed it to my
Oh.
friends, and like, and I know that for them, they're like, okay, we're watching Claymation Rudolph, and
yeah.
now we're watching an old McDonald's commercial. This is kind of cool, I guess, but for me, I'm sitting there like giggling away, and also like, gosh, this is like.
But
feels so
when you
warm,
do it, you
know?
zone in. And,
Yes.
and you're
Yeah.
the little kid sitting on the floor, staring up.
Because
at
I
that
also
screen.
have memories of like watching home movies where I hear that tape in the tape.
Oh, that's
you
cool.
know, like
that's
like,
kind of trippy.
that
too.
is like, but and
Could you
that's
imagine?
another thing too. Like I don't remember what it was that somebody was like, "What was your first memory?" They weren't asking me. I was like watching or listening
sure.
to something where they asked, and I've thought of that before. Where I'm like, "What is my first memory?" I don't like have one, and for me, it bleeds into these home videos.
Sure.
Like I've like watched those videos over and over because they're like.
And now you're
There's a
putting
moment
yourself
where,
in it.
like, as a child, you stop being cute and you start being like really annoying.
Sure.
So like, I've watched all the way up to that point, and then I just stop watching. Like once I start to get annoying, because
sure.
you realize like what you are.
Yeah.
But before that, you're just like,
Oh.
you know,
Yeah.
which is so innocence.
Sure.
Christmas
Innocence
Synonymous.
and
Period.
Christmas
is the driven snow.
and drunken debacle.
Well, I think that's a good time to end this. I was trying to make it sweet, and then Joe threw the drunken debacle.
Sorry.
Well, so thank you, Jake, for joining us.
Yeah, dude.
Really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
I think it was a great episode.
This was fun.
We tried to talk about Christmas, but we
Hey,
digressed so many times.
got some good.
This is hey,
Christmas in.
it's all the random useless info you want to know. It's Friday nights with
Jeff.
and Joe and Jake tonight. Yeah,
You
it's a
could
good
just said
time.
and let him do it like the
Oh
rest of us.
shit! Hey, okay,
We
it's
did it
all the
earlier.
random useless info you want to know. It's Friday nights with
Jeff.
and Joe and
Jake.
There you go.
Jake is in the house. So
All right,
wait,
Jake,
are we
do
getting
you have
started?
anything to plug? As the goodbye here, I know Joe's screwed up before and not mentioned something about his brother, so I don't know if there's something you
Yeah.
want to plug or.
Is Bad News Bears? I'll just catch you up because clearly you didn't catch it. But during the music podcast, because it was the same one actually with like the musicals and stuff.
No.
It was.
it?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
I plugged like Isaiah and Andy and all their groups and stuff. And then as like we wrapped up and I was driving back home, I was like, I didn't talk at all about Jake. Oh my god!
There's
So
a
then-
reason why though. Like,
Well, yeah,
So-
I'm
but
not that active.
yeah.
so.
In
But
our
still,
last,
we do want to
in,
give you the chance to let the people know.
Well,
I totally did it in housekeeping.
I'll
Yeah.
maybe by me saying it here for all of these people.
There's not
Thank
that
you so many
people.
fans.
So many people.
So-
It'll like light a fire. But I've been like over the last 2
Are you telling
years
us you're
or
making a
so-
commake?
Well, I'm
He's coming
I
out of
don't think
retirement,
official
ladies and
right
gentlemen.
now.
I never
Here it is.
retired.
Wow, 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 wow.
I've been like writing for the last like 2 years. I released an album in 2013.
What was
under
it
the
again?
moniker Decade of Summer. The album was Fourth and First.
Fourth and first.
We did talk about that in the
Ha!
housekeeping.
So
Housekeeping.
excited about this.
and that was kind of like a mishmash of songs. I had just moved to New York, and this producer was working with a friend of mine. So then I met him, and it all like happened really quickly, and it cost money, and it was this thing that I didn't feel completely stable about.
Okay.
So I became much more devoted to just like being a like kind of a not session, but like I played for my friends, you know, like I still wrote, but
Gotcha.
I definitely didn't put as much energy behind my solo stuff. So, you know, family members passed away and things like kind of are zooming in and out of perspective, reading all this Joe Campbell and, you know, really starting to like ask myself questions and waiting for those answers. And as those answers come, I write them down. And so I've got what I think will be 3 albums.
Wow.
And
Okay.
so our buddy Cole, who's in my wedding, like
He has Woody
one
Productions.
of my best friends, like since kindergarten.
Yep.
And we've been recording together since like 6th grade.
Okay.
He was the bassist in
Of
Hopeless Hope.
Hopeless Hope, which is my band in middle and high school. And so I'm hoping to get
Awesome.
Luke, our old drummer, and like to finally lay these songs down. It's all like roughed out. It's all sketched, and I've got it all
Got a plan.
recorded, basically like garage band style.
Oh, okay.
So there will probably be some things that I pull out of there that I really actually like the roughness of the recording or whatever. But
Sure.
it's been just like sort of a subtle battle in my own mind of like feeling like a songwriter still, but working 40 hours as
the real world,
as the real world. You know, that you need to have that real world stuff. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to pay the rent and all of that. So, just kind of owning up to that, and hopefully I will have music by the end of this coming
we want to
year.
support you. So if there's anything Joe and I
Yeah,
can do,
Yeah, if you want to come on
let me know.
again, you know, plug something or just come on.
when you get something, or if, you know what, even if you want to use our platform to kind of shout some stuff out there, if you want to get a YouTube, and all I need is the MP3, we can put it up on the YouTube channel. I'm sure you got your own stuff going on too, but we'd love to kind of plug your stuff. So
Well, so if anybody wants to, Decatur Summer is the name of the
DA.
CADA,
Yeah.
and then summer spelled like the season. But I've got a YouTube channel, and there.
Oh, good, okay.
Some
and we'll put
videos
we'll put
up
the link
there,
in there.
and yeah, by all means. I don't have. I mean, I have the website. Like Nick was amazing enough to buy me the domain and everything, and
Yeah, we have our
it's
own
just
setup.
my, lack of action that has
Sure.
led to no.
Well,
Yeah, we know how that goes.
As
actually
I've gotten involved
building
with this,
and
it's a
construction.
lot harder to manage
Yeah,
all that.
it is.
Especially with, like you said, a 40-hour job.
yeah, and
So,
but that's my information.
yeah, Decatur Summer. And that is the band name.
Yes.
The group
yes.
name is a band. I don't know what do you guys call it.
It's whoever plays with me.
Okay.
But I don't, it could be like I played solo, but then
Okay.
I also love playing with people.
And now the one album was Fourth and First.
yes.
And now do we have a potential title for
I
the
have
album?
working titles for
Okay.
all three
Oh, cool.
of them.
Cool.
Top secret right now.
Of course.
I could tell you.
No, leave it secret. They can
Oh,
come
no.
back and
Yeah.
let's give them a little teaser.
Yeah.
They can come back for the next
If
one.
anyone has listened the entire length of this podcast,
I hope
you're gonna break this up, right?
Well,
Break it up.
we're sitting pretty far into now.
This is gonna be the longest podcast we've ever done,
Ever. Yeah.
ever in the
Ever.
history of our podcast,
It's
which is all of 10.
I'm loving this. I
Yeah.
really do. I'm glad
loving
this is
every
good.
minute of it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that was cool. So that was Jake and Joe doing a little impromptu singing.
What? We can do more. You want more?
No, please don't. Please don't. Now it's the sleep.
I've had to pee for the last hour and a half, dude. You don't even understand.
Wow.
Why don't you just fill your coffee cup up? And
That's
just,
true.
Yeah, that would have been fine.
No.
You could have said pause. We could have cut, and done.
Nope.
it.
Nope. We are professionals. We can do this.
As his eyes are
I
turning
dance
yellow.
around at work all the time. Having to pee.
You have danced around since you were a little kid. I love it every day.
I've
Wait,
had some
do you have to go
bad-
pee? I do go potty. Yep, every time.
The door's closed. Nick's in there. He's taking forever.
That's why I always go pee before we start.
Plenty of stories.
I do
about
too, but the
peeing.
fact that I drink all this coffee.
Anyways, thank you, Jake, for coming on.
Thank you guys.
I appreciate you making time out of your day. Hopefully, you get the rest and relaxation of a couple days off that you
PTO, man.
so deserve.
Yep.
Whatever you may be hoping to get for Christmas, I hope you get that too. That one gift.
that one good.
Rolling eyes.
Sucks to be you.
rolled
just
out of his
kidding.
head.
No, and we hope to have you on soon. Again, once you get your band thing going,
Yeah.
we'd love to have you back
Totally.
on.
Maybe we can
or
get you on
have you,
Paranormal Palaver.
we could do a Star Wars episode. We have you on.
There you
That
go.
would be
We
great.
could have a existential kind of thought process. That'd be really cool too.
That'd be great.
I don't know what your schedule is, but if you can make it around this time any day, we will gladly have you on. I've always got the equipment
Yeah,
in
we
my
got
car.
My
we
nights
just
are often free.
pull it out.
We gotta try and get Gooding too. He would be golden for a
Yeah.
podcast.
He
We're
would
gonna
love
get,
it.
We're gonna
Yeah.
get
He would
at least
love
one more mic so we
Pudding.
can have 4 people. But yeah, so thanks everybody for listening. I know this got really long.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, no, thank you all very much. Everyone have yourself a phenomenal Christmas
Happy
or
holidays,
Christmas,
folks.
or
New
Hanukkah
Year
or
and all that
Kwanzaa
stuff.
or all the fun holidays that are going on right now. Enjoy the time with family or make it through however you got to do it. I don't know.
Hopefully you find something that's a little
downer.
positive.
Yeah.
yeah, because
Everybody deserves that.
we need that right now, especially in the world right now. So
Yep.
go get them. Thank you for joining us as always. Of course, it's the random useless info you want to know. It's Friday nights with
Jeff.
and Joe, and tonight, Jake. All right. loosen that up a little bit there.
Yeah.